For the past 4 months, I have been building a quadrupedal robot. And what will I do with this marvelous technology? How will I use it to change the world? To advance research? To cure cancer? Welcome to part 3 of building my robot dog named TOPS, which stands for Traverser of Planar Surfaces, and also spells spot backwards, which is the Boston Dynamics robot. Now, this is easily the biggest and most complex project that I've built so far, which came with many challenges and lots of failures along the way. Today, we're going to be building TOPS from the ground up. Now, before watching this video, I recommend you watch parts 0, 1, and 2 of this series, but here's the quick crash course. In the unofficial part 0 of this project, I built my own quasi-direct drive actuator using a brushless motor, an FOC controller, a planetary gear set, and an ungodly amount of test prints. I really liked this actuator design, so I decided to try my hand at building another robot dog, this time hopefully making it a lot more dynamic. In part 1, I built 3 actuators and used them to build a single test leg. I also derived inverse kinematic equations to move the foot precisely and programmed some gait sequences. Now, this leg design wasn't great, so in part 2, I went back to the drawing board and designed a better leg. This time, I made the leg stick out less, made the design more open so that you could see the motors turning, shaved off about a pound of weight, and switched communication protocols to CAN bus, which reduced wiring by a lot. This leg performed and looked a lot better, but this came with one major trade-off, which was that now I would have to manually home the legs at startup, since there isn't an official CAN bus library for the motor controllers that I'm using. But it gets better, because in part 2, I was also able to get the leg to jump, which definitely left things on a high note. And with that, we arrive at this video, part 3, where I'll be designing and building the full robot. So, let's get started. Now, the approach that I took to building the test leg was to have the actuators make up the main body of the leg. Since that worked well for a single leg, I'm going to be applying that same design strategy for the full robot assembly. I'm starting off the CAD model with 4 carbon fiber tubes that are going to make up the entire frame of the robot. Each of the legs is going to slide onto 2 of the tubes, making a sort of leg kebab. And if we have something in the middle to hold the 2 tubes together and 2 panels on either end for extra support, then we should be able to make a really secure frame with very few parts. Now, designing the legs is going to be quite easy. I already have one design, the front left leg, and all I need to do is slightly reconfigure the orientation of that leg in order to derive the other 3 leg designs. Once that's done, I can drop each leg into the main assembly, fit them onto the tubes, design a couple more parts, and then we have a full robot designed. Now it's time to actually print the parts. According to my slicing software, it's going to take about 133 hours or 5.5 days to print everything on my one printer. And factoring in a bit of transition time in between prints, we're looking at roughly a week of non-stop printing. So it's been 3 weeks and I'm still printing, which just goes to show that other than being nowhere near the realm of reality, computer estimates can be quite accurate. With the parts that I do have at the moment, I can start building a good chunk of the bot. The first step is going to be building all 12 of the actuators. For that, I'm using 12 high torque 90 kb brushless motors and 12 ODrive S1 brushless motor controllers with position, velocity, and torque closed loop control. I fit an encoder magnet onto the back of each motor, and then I'm going to put an ODrive onto the back of each motor housing. Next, I added bearings to some of the parts, fitted sun gears to 8 of the motors, fitted pulleys to the other 4, screwed on the gearboxes, and added the planet gears. To get the actuators up and running, I'm using the ODrive GUI to change settings, calibrate the motors, and define each actuator's CAN bus node ID. I'm also doing a quick spin-up test on each actuator to make sure everything is running smoothly. And after screwing on each cover, we now have 12 actuators. Now, you'll notice that there are 3 different types of actuators, and that's because each leg has 3 different joints: an adduction joint, a hip joint, and a knee joint. These each fit together to form the body of a single leg assembly. With 3 more leg assemblies, 4 carbon fiber tubes, and 2 middle section pieces, we can form the main body of the robot by assembling everything together. I've integrated these clamps into the design of each adduction actuator's housing so that we can prevent the leg from sliding on the tube. And although it looks like there's a nut on the other side, just know that there isn't. It's held on by hopes, dreams, and a hole with zero tolerance. With more prints coming off the printer, it's time to move on to building the legs. We'll start by pressing more bearings into some of the parts. These spacers are going to connect the upper and lower leg. I'm using high torque drive belts so that the knee actuator can actuate the lower leg. The pulleys and idler pulleys all slot in on this panel piece, and we can add the belts and other idler pulleys to get our 9-to-1 belt pulley gear reduction. Now we can cover it all with the other panel piece, and as you can tell by now, we have to do this 3 more times to make our 4 legs. The 4 legs then mount directly onto the robot. Moving on to electronics, the schematic looks like this. All 12 of the actuators will be powered by this high capacity 6-cell battery. The actuators will also be daisy chained via the CAN low and CAN high lines. Those 2 lines connect to a CAN bus transceiver, which connects to the brains of the robot, a Teensy 4.1 microcontroller. I'm going to be using an RC remote and RC receiver to control the robot, and a small 16x2 LCD to act as a menu for different control modes. I'll be using this voltage display to monitor the battery, and I'll be using a voltage regulator to step down the battery voltage to 5 volts in order to power the Teensy. And now, let's test the circuit. Alright, so here's the first power up test. Let's hope I don't burn down my apartment. There goes nothing. Woo! And we are alive. Now I'm going to add bearings to the front and back panel pieces. As mentioned, the panels will serve as a way to hold the carbon fiber tubes in place. They will also serve as a way to further constrain the rotation of the adduction joints. It's a pretty tight fit, so I have to hammer the pieces on. I'm also using clamps here to prevent them from coming out. The next item on the list is feet. Previously, I had just 3D printed the feet on the test leg, but if I want the dog to be able to walk without slipping, I'll need to use a material that's both squishy and has traction, so silicone seems to be the obvious choice. I bought this silicone mold kit online. It has a shore hardness of 30A, and according to online scales, this is somewhere between the squishiness of a rubber band and an eraser. The base of the foot is 3D printed, and the goal is to cover the outside of the space with silicone by suspending it in between 2 molds, which are also 3D printed. I'll start by pouring out equal parts of each A and B mix. Then I'll stir it all together. I'm using Vaseline as a releasing agent since I'm not really sure how silicone acts with PLA. After clamping the 2 halves of the mold together, it's time to pour the mix in and let it sit overnight. Once the silicone has cured, I can take the molds apart and wash off the foot. It actually came out quite well, and it definitely has a lot more traction than the printed foot. As always, I've gone ahead and made 3 more and glued them onto these carbon fiber tubes, which will then be glued onto each leg. So now that the robot is pretty much assembled, it's time to program it. And as you'll see, this was one of the more challenging and frustrating parts of the build. Initially, I couldn't even get it to stand up. What happened here is that the belts on the back legs skipped. So to fix this, I reprinted bigger idler pulleys to increase tension. I also slightly changed the normal leg positions in software to prevent the back legs from taking on too much of the load. And now that it can stand, let's get it to walk. The main principle in getting a quadruped to walk, or turn for that matter, is to always have a pair of 2 diagonal feet in contact with the ground at any given moment. This is otherwise known as trotting, and it's what allows Tops to maintain balance. Now let's talk about what a step trajectory looks like. I had originally planned for a sinusoidal step trajectory, but it just didn't work. So I reverted to a more crude but reliable square step trajectory. Here the foot moves up, forward, down, and back. Now getting the robot to trot forward is essentially a 2-step sequence. You first need to have 2 diagonal feet take a step, and as soon as they touch the ground, have the other 2 diagonal feet also take a step. If you keep the same sequence but have the feet move backwards, then the robot moves backwards. If instead of backwards you move the feet right or left, then you get the robot to move sideways. The only motion that may not be as intuitive is turning. Here, you actually want diagonal feet to move in opposite directions. Now, these sequences are actually pretty simple, but as often in engineering, concept is one thing and implementation is another. You see, the challenge with programming a quadruped is that there are so many different variables to consider. For example, the amount of time each leg is off the ground, how far the leg lifts off the ground, how big each step is, how fast the leg accelerates, and the list goes on. These factors not only determine if the robot can walk in the first place, but how dynamic that walking motion is. This meant a lot of programming, testing, and failure, followed by more failure, and even more failure. But eventually, you kind of get something that works. And that's what this robot does. It just works. Not the best, but it works. There are so many hardware and software issues with this robot that I almost considered not finishing this project at all. But before I explain exactly what I mean, it's dance time. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, what do I like about this project? Well, it walks, which was definitely a major goal, but I think the best part of building TOPS was being able to make my own custom actuators. Turns out, 3D printed planetary gears can work pretty well on large-scale projects. Now, what I hate about this project is that it could be a lot better. And maybe it's just the engineer in me, but I'm never really satisfied with anything I build. And this is no exception. The main limitation on the mechanical side is that the joints skip like crazy. Because of this, the robot can't do things like jump or take a hard step, because when the belts do skip, I have to recalibrate the entire robot, which leads me into problems in software. Having to calibrate each leg on startup gets really annoying really fast. The other software issue was just a lack of natural dynamic motion. Programming gate sequences is really hard, and my code was pretty minimalistic. I also didn't use any IMU sensors, which means that apart from the natural compliance of the actuators, TOPS isn't really reacting to the environment or any external forces. This is kind of like having a Tesla without any of the autopilot features. Your car is never going to be able to navigate itself, but it's still usable, just a lot less cooler. I hope to fix all of these issues in TOPS V2, which I'll be making sometime in the future. But for now, I'm going to be moving on to other projects. You see, because of this project, I now have 12 high-powered brushless motors and motor controllers at my disposal. So as you can imagine, there's a lot that I could do. I want to end this video by giving one special acknowledgement to the YouTuber James Bruton. I stole a lot of the design ideas that he implemented in his robot dog. Things like using carbon fiber tubes for the frame, casting the feet in silicone, and even the exact type of motor that I used came from watching his videos. So if you haven't already, definitely check out his channel. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see what I have planned next, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. I should also mention that this project is completely open source, so if you'd like to learn more about TOPS or just download Cat and code, you can check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.